I was born in 1994 in Sweden as the firstborn child of my parents. 3 years later, my family got the addition of my little brother. My family has lived in the same house since I was born, and it's located in the Swedish countryside in the south. We've always spent a lot of time outside, disregarding the weather. My family always put a lot of value on social life and traveling. It was important to my parents to show us different cultures and values, as well as to develop our own opinions at an early age. We were always invited to join discussions, no matter the topic, and my parents never tried to censor out any topics or events that happened around the world due to our young age. Although my biological family is quite small, our doors were always open to friends and family, and for as long as I can recall, the house was almost always full. Me and my brother learned that family doesn't necessarily come from blood bands, but from our hearts. We also learned to be open-minded and both accept and respect all types of cultures and lifestyles. This is very well demonstrated in the Hofstede Cultural Dimension chart on masculinity. Sweden scores 5 out of 100, which makes it one of the most feminine cultures in the world. This is a point I very much agree on, and I'm proud of, as the country strives for equality and quality in life. My father would always bring us to work when we had school holidays. I loved his office because it had such a friendly environment there. Our family used to go on a lot of holidays with his colleagues and their families, and everyone knew each other and treated each other as equals. I think this showed as a mix of two theories. On one hand, looking at Hofstede's cultural dimension of power distance, the power distance in Sweden scores quite low. Hierarchy exists only for the point of convenience, and again points out the importance of equality. However, according to Trumpenar, Sweden is a specific country, which means it's important to keep work and social life separated. If I look at my mother, this is quite true. She always preferred to keep her work character to herself and not bring it home when she finished off her workday. When looking at my father, the difference between who he was at work and at home was very diffuse, and at his workplace it was a much more communitaristic culture. I think this is because he worked in a company where 50% of her colleagues were from Russia and the other 50% from Sweden. Russia, being a communitaristic culture, I think made a big impact on the Swedish employees, as well as on their families. I definitely see how my childhood was influenced by this, and I can often see myself in the middle of these two dimensions. So although I agree with Sweden in general being a very specific culture, it might just have been different for me as I grew up around very different cultures around me. Sweden is also seen as a very low context culture. It's generally important to communicate all details around the situation and lay down rules at all times. This was something that the Russian, which has a high-text culture, influence on me, could bring to a struggle as I got used to things being just understood in between the lines.
Created using Powtoon.